Okay, so this is our strategy map that our team uses to basically outline our goals for the next couple years. So as you guys can see, we have all of our goals divided into business, engineering, and team-wide objectives. And within all three of these groups, we have our goals divided into a couple different categories, which include leadership and professionalism excellence, mentorship formalization, events and initiatives virtualization, first outreach expansion and TYR sustainment, project management application, and technology exploration. So today, Tanisha, Akul, and I are going to be going through some of these objectives and just talk about what our team wants to do within the next couple years. Also, before we start on the objectives, I just want to point out that our mission and vision statements, which we did go over on the very first day of boot camp, are on the screen up above, along with some of our blue banners that we won this past year. So our mission and vision statements, just to summarize them again, are basically to make sure that we are raising a generation of students that have not only STEAM skills, but also interpersonal skills that can help them succeed in the workforce and create a better community overall, and that these students are able to perpetuate their skills and really expand the STEAM community and make sure that the workforce in the next couple of years will be successful. So right now, I'm just going to be going through some of the team-wide objectives. So in the leadership and professionalism excellence category, we have initiate leadership training, raise LinkedIn member presence, increase female membership to approximately 1/3 of our team, advocate for equity and diversity, and promote racial awareness. So we're going to be going into the female membership, diversity, and racial awareness a bit more as the season goes on. So basically, if you guys didn't know, the STEAM workforce is generally stereotyped for being a male-dominant field, and lots of minorities aren't necessarily well represented in STEAM. So our team has made it one of our missions to make sure that we are to make sure that all students, no matter their race or gender, have the ability to take part in STEAM and are always educated on it. And the two first bullet points, initiate leadership training and raise LinkedIn member presence, are things that we really want to work on to make sure that students on our team are able to gain leadership skills that they'll need for their futures, and also gain real-world skills like creating a resume and developing connections through LinkedIn. Okay, so in the second category of mentorship formalization, we have create mentorship guidelines, provide mentor training, and recruit first alumni mentors. So our team basically works to make sure that we're developing connections with other first alumni, which are people that have gone through the first program, FLL, FTC, and FRC, and make sure that we can maintain connections with them, whether they're on our team or not, and make sure that we can both make sure that we're involved with them even after they graduate from high school, and also make sure that we can gain skills from them and any advice that they have. In the third category, for events and initiatives virtualization, this is something that we started pretty recently, actually, just because of the pandemic. So this has a lot to do with making sure that things are virtual. So you guys can see through all three categories, engineering, business, and team-wide, we have a couple that seem pretty new, like Explore FTC competition simulation, that we weren't planning to do before, but because of the pandemic, we really started to move our meetings online and create online resources. So this category includes all of that stuff, as well as things that we've been doing for a while, such as publishing monthly newsletters, publishing quality training curriculum online, enabling cross-team member participation, and increasing branding presence. So especially this year, you guys are able to take part in more than one subgroup, so that goes into enabling cross-team member participation, so that you guys can gain as many skills as you want and be as involved with the team as you want. And the other ones involve us staying involved with our audience, with our high school, and with our sponsors. Next category is first outreach expansion and TYR sustainment. So if you guys didn't know, something that was discussed our very first day is our TYR theater program, which is Troy Youth Robotics. So this is basically all of the FLL teams and FTC teams in Troy that we help mentor and provide resources for. So our goals for this category are improve FLL and FTC student mentorship, create an FLL and FTC training program, improve TYR tracking, improve TYR teams tracking, and initiate Troy STEM Center planning. Our Troy STEM Center is relatively new, but it's basically to make sure that we can promote STEM education to all the kids in Troy. And the other ones all have to do with our TYR program. So we really want to make sure that all of these teams have the opportunity to get student mentors from our team and from elsewhere, so that they have a good guide, especially if they're a rookie team, they're new this year. The next category is project management application. So this has to do with all of our team projects and documents. So the goals in this are centralize team documents and calendar, track supportive evidence for chairmen, measure experience impact, and implement first badges. So these all have to do with projects that we're currently taking on, such as our first badge system. We're trying to make sure that this is implemented to our training program, and centralizing our team documents and calendar. That really has to do with making sure that the whole team has access to all of our resources. And the last category is technology exploration. So our goal for this is to implement a safety information system. So right now, some of the goals that we've been having for safety is to create like a safety app or a safety website that can be used to educate not only our team members, but other students about safety and how to make sure that you're safe in first and elsewhere. Tanisha, do you want to go over the business objectives?
Yeah, sure. So the overarching goal of a lot of what our team does, and not just business, is ultimately for our Chairman's Award, but it goes beyond that to the point where we want to make a considerable impact in our community. And that comes from many sectors and aspects of our team, and one of them includes how well we're able to train our leadership and goes back to our recruitment and training processes. So one of our objectives for business is increasing sponsors engagement and producing our STEAM streaming series, which is our Careers in STEM show. A lot of you guys might have seen those on our YouTube channel, which is basically just a live YouTube series where 226 members interview our alumni about just their experiences in the STEM field. Another thing that we want to do in the future is hosting more STEAM funding advocacy events, which we do through our national advocacy conferences and Michigan advocacy conferences, where, as I mentioned before, we talk to a lot of our state legislators and representatives. And also, before we go on, I want to point out a key at the top left corner of the page. The triangle, it means that those goals are in progress, but if it has a check mark next to it, it means that it's done or either ongoing. So things like enhancing external relationships with the Troy school districts and school administrators is something that's ongoing. Another thing that we want to work on is building our overall network through alumni connections, especially to have them come back to mentor us or be a part of our Careers in STEM series. Another thing that we want to increase in the future is our event video production. This has been kind of lacking because obviously we haven't been going to a lot of events in the past 1.5 years, but it's something that we want to increase once we go forward, and also boosting our social media presence, enhancing our website presence, and that entails creating a whole new website, which some business kids, you guys might have seen a little preview of our new website that we're working on right now. So as you can see, we're making concrete steps towards these goals. And another thing I wanted to point out with this strategy map is that it's a 2020 to 2023 season kind of objectives that we have. So these goals, we want to accomplish them by the end of 2023 season. And another thing that we wanted to start was just exploring more creative fundraising ideas and donations, establishing a nonprofit organization, which is also in progress, creating a TYR website just to act as a platform if any FTCRFL teams need help, or if you hear anyone wanting to join a TYR team or a lower level first team, you could lead us to that website. And again, that goes to our TYR initiatives. Launching our first international network. So the first international, you guys don't know, is basically a call center, and it's a global network for first teams all over the world to reach out to us and for us to provide our resources and mentorship and all that fun stuff to them at any point in time that they might need help. In terms of project management and application, we wanted to implement a sponsors management system, and that would just include organizing our sponsors, maintaining our relationships with them, and that goes back to our Teamwide Objectives about the monthly newsletters and also the event video production. So as you can see, all of these goals kind of connect together and they contribute to the overall impact we want to be making as a team. In terms of technology exploration, one thing we wanted to start in terms of chairmans was implementing a chairman's scouting system. And if you're unfamiliar with what Chairman Scouting is, it's essentially a system for us to map out our competitions before we apply to the Chairman's Award. It's just to gain inspiration from other teams, see what kind of initiatives and events they're doing, and see how we can maybe implement it into our own team. And the Chairman Scouting system is basically just putting that on an online platform available, which is available to teams all over the world. And I can't quite see the bottom, but I think it says information system, and that's another goal that we want to reach in terms of technology exploration. Akul, do you want to go through some of our engineering objectives?
Yeah, sure. Um, so for leadership and professionalism excellence, in terms of engineering objectives, one thing that we have completed so far is refining the infinite recharge robot design, which was the past year's robot, which we'll be using in the upcoming off-season events. Refining it means literally just going through the robot, changing some things like how we have changed the the shooter wheel to some more um, constrained wheels to be more consistent. But going on, cultivating scouting culture of excellence. This has to just do with more how we collect our data and making sure that it's more consistent and we get the best insights we can, so we have the best information to choose our alliances when playoffs come around and if we are alliance captains. Also practicing robot mechanism build. This is something that we wanted to do this year also, mainly because there's a lot of skill that we need to like learn, and doing a mock build season was one of the ideas that we wanted to implement, as that'll be the best way of teaching and doing these exact robot mechanisms, as that's the best way of learning it by just doing it. Transforming to a culture of facility cleanliness. Right now, obviously, since we're online, this isn't exactly as doable, isn't exactly realistic since we're not in the workshop, but our goal is to make sure that we have a proper plan to make sure that the wood shop is clean, because that was a pretty big issue during our past season, build season. So we want to make sure that that isn't a problem anymore by making sure that there are people that are going to be doing that, making sure that that gets taken care of. In terms of events and initiatives virtualization, in this past year, because of the COVID season, we wanted to try and do an FTC competition simulation, similar to what was trying to be done for FRC robots as well, the competition simulation that was happening there, and we're still looking into that. Formalized FRC training programs. This is something that we are trying to do this year. A couple of the subgroups have been more or less formalized, and others are still trying to figure it out, especially in this online environment that kids have a lot of tech issues and things like that that need to be worked around. Improving fabrication and electrical training. Well, this kind of just goes back to the formalizing of training programs. Yes, I did notice that I skipped one. I'll get back to that. Improving fabrication and electrical training. This is just to make sure that we have proper passing of knowledge of all the electrical and all the fabrication techniques, since there's so much of it, and there's not that many leads to teach it. So we want to make sure we document all of that. And expanding FRC outreach and mentoring. This is just like helping different teams that need it. One of them right now, Argonauts, as they're a new team, we are helping them with robot, with training, but also just helping inner city Detroit teams or whether teams need it in any way we can. Um, Project management application to just devise and build a robot build project plan. This is more crucial for a build season so that everyone is playing a part in what we do with the robot, so everyone is contributing, but also to make sure that people aren't showing up and not doing anything because we're over adding, like we're having too many people signed up for a certain time slot, and we're over we have too much work in a sense. We have too much labor to be used. That's a bad term, but so for technology and exploration, creating a scouting information system. This goes back to the previous one where we cultivate a scouting culture of excellence. This is just going to be one of the tools that we have been working on, and it seems to have come to fruition that we're going to be using at hopefully the next competition. The scouting system will be pretty beneficial in terms of how efficiently we can get all the data and also get all the graphs to see which information is more relevant to what we want to do. Learning and leveraging data analytics. This was something that we did last year, and it's worked pretty well. And this will be directly used in the scouting and information system, side by side, as that'll be the thing that is going to be giving us the insights from all the data that the system is going to be giving out. Exploring AI and machine learning for computer vision. This is something that we want to look into with the robot, especially to see if there's more that we can do. And experimenting with 3D printing for functional parts. Well, we did 3D printing in this past year for a face mask with those face shields, but we want to look more into it, especially with functional parts, because in the past, since the 3D printer is rather new, we haven't really built parts around the fact that we're going to use a 3D printer. We just used it wherever we thought it was like it made sense. But we're going to try and explore the idea of trying to make parts mainly because they're 3D printed and they're that much more customizable. Yeah.
Yeah, so these are all of our team goals, like Tanisha said, for the 2020 to 2023 season. Does anyone have any questions on any of our goals? I know we just went through a lot of content, so there's probably a couple. You can either raise your hand, type in the chat, or just unmute.
Before we go over that, I just wanted to add that this list is an ongoing list, so if throughout the season you guys have any suggestions or feedback or any overall ideas about some objectives or new initiatives that we can start, please feel free to tell us. We're always looking for new ways to grow and more feedback, and we'd love the ideas that you guys have to make our team even better. But yeah, you guys can go ahead and ask your questions though.
This is John too here. I do want to make a comment on the bottom right, the scouting information system. Traditionally, actually 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we scouted on paper, and that was transformed into an Excel spreadsheet, and we do some data analytics on it. And after that, that helped us do our alliance selection. It was a very tedious process, and we transformed to using an app that another FRC team has created, and that has served. It certainly has improved how we're doing things, but it's still quite a bit of work. So what we're planning to do in Arnav and is working on this, and we have several meetings to lay out the infrastructure. Our intention is to create a new scouting information system that will allow both attendees at the event to scout, as well as if you're not attending the event, you can also help us scout at home, provided that video streaming is available to stream the event to your computer. So this way we can leverage the entire team to help us scout during events. Scouting is very, very important. I think with the best robot, you may not win if you don't have the best scouting data to help you select the right alliance partners. Arnav, do you have any items you want to add?
No, I think you covered everything.
Yeah. Okay. And we will be going over this document more in the future general team meetings, so we can refine this and add more ideas. And this is what's going to drive us to, we believe, team excellence, as well as making you the best STEM leaders out there. All right. Bye-bye, everyone.